Great days and glorious victory. My name is Spifflemonk, and welcome to one of the most requested Let's Plays I have ever done. Seriously, I have so damn many requests for this, it's frightening. Anyway, welcome to BioShock. Interesting title. I have no idea what it's about. I, once again, did no research on starting this, so going in blind. Here we go. New game, easy difficulty, and go for it. The game's introduction plays out as the screen shows a view from inside an aircraft. The iconic opening scene plays out and Spiff watches for a bit. 1960? That's a long time in human years. Mid-Atlantic? We are in an aircraft, apparently. Need to look that up. Spiff grabs his trusty notepad and scribbles something down as the cutscene carries on. His face goes slightly pale as the sound of an aircraft being hijacked goes off in the background before his character is underwater and struggling to breathe. Oh. The Mid-Atlantic is an ocean. Okay then. Spiff heads up to the surface, and his face goes a bit pale at the sight of the wreckage and burning everywhere. Oh dear. Where do I go? Where do I go? Oh, structure over there. That's where I go. Go, dude, go. Spiff scrambles along the path, cringing in fear at the flames following pools of jet fuel, and eventually scrambles onto the stairs on dry land. He enters the lighthouse on the small rock and makes a note on how damn dark it is. The door closes, behind him. Oh shit. I've seen this in games before. When the door closes behind you by itself, that's never a good sign. The lights flip on, illuminating the dark room, fully displaying BioShock's famous Art Deco building style. Spiffle, however, gets yeeted out of his seat by a statue staring at him with a banner under it. Bah! Fuck! I told you! I told you! He grumbles as he gets back into his seat and resumes, taking a closer look at the statue. No gods or kings. Only man. Huh. That's an odd slogan. Welp, I got myself into it. Let's go. Spiff follows. The pathway down and notes the beautiful architecture of the game as he heads down into the bathysphere room. He looks up and gets a bit of a spook again at the statue down at him again. He scoffs and heads inside the bathysphere. The game's iconic introduction plays out. The entire time Spiffle has a brow raised, confused as to what's going on. The game's intro cutscene plays, and Spiff gets the bejesus scared out of him again as a giant squid swims past the screen. Spiff collects himself and his jaw hits the floor. By the mother's tits. It's a city. Underwater? What? The sequence plays out and Spiff gets more and more astonished at the sight of the city as it unfolds, visibly cringing in terror at the sight of the whale moving through the depths. Calm down, Spiff, that's not going to hurt you, it's just a really big fish. He enters the city tube for the bathysphere station and sees the advert poster for the telekinesis plasmid. Wait a minute, does this game have witch powers too? The sphere enters the station, and the scene with Johnny and the game's first mini-boss enemy plays out. Spiff pays attention, and visible dry heaves as the splicer rips Johnny's guts out in a rather vicious manner. The blood-curdling scream of hatred and rage coming from the strange creature makes Spiff jump out of his seat as the creature jumps on the bathysphere and tries to tear it open. What in the bawling blazes is that thing? Please tell me I don't have to fight that. Atlas introduces himself, and Spiff has his first game objective. Oh, finally, direction. Gods below, let's get started. The splicer says, I'll wrap you in a sheet. And Spiff goes no thank you in response. He seems a bit lost in the atmosphere of the game. Atlas springs a trap and illuminates the splicer. The alarm goes off and Spiff watches it unfold. Well, turrets and automated gun drones. Seems about normal, for humans anyway. Spiff moves forward and engages with the game's first real enemy, a standard thuggish splicer, and beats him with the pipe wrench. When it's finally down, Spiff has the chance to actually look at him. What in the actual balls is that thigh Imgana Besic? Spiff leaves his seat and retreats into the bathroom where he retches pukes. The game shows that the majority of humans in this game, despite the dated graphics, are horrendously mutilated with swollen lips, bandages, and strange cysts all about them, as if an art student high on LSD got hold of a plastic surgeon's patient ward. Spiff returns a bit later due to Francine's editing skills and he is visibly shaken. That is horrifying. Please tell me all the enemies in the game aren't like this. Spiff looks about a bit and walks up the stairs, following the voice of a vending machine. Following the game's prompts, he visibly dry heaves as the character forces a large needle into its arm. The scene plays out as if the character is being electrocuted from the inside out, and the entire sequence makes Spiff visibly sick. Genetic code is being What? Genetic code? Oh! Gene splicing? That practice has been outlawed for generations. This is an entire game about it. A cutscene plays, showing two splicers wandering about, and Spiff retches at the sight of the splicer's face and mask as it gets close. The Big Daddy approaches, brandishing its huge drill arm. Please tell me I'm not going to have to fight that thing. The sequence continues and Spiff's eyes darken, his skin goes pale, and he stares into the camera with his now infamous death glare. Is that a child? Are you fucking serious? Why is she carrying a giant syringe? And what is that thing? What is a Mr. Bubbles? What the flying fuck is this? Spiff stands there, unable to comprehend what he just witnessed. His face remains pale and eyes glowing an odd, rageful color as he glares into the camera for what seems an eternity. He carries on after a bit and equips his plasmid. He accidentally hits the fire button and shoots a bolt of electricity at the wall. Wait, what? Oh, that's what he meant by fistful of lightning. So I can shoot bolts of lightning from my hand now? Oh, splicers. Gene splicing. Okay. Well, that makes sense. The child doesn't, though. That odd metal. Golem with the bulb head doesn't make any sense at all, though. What is this hell? Spiff follows the prompts and hits the door release with the electrobolt and heads down into the flooding passage. The gamer doesn't let him do much, though, as the wreckage from the crashed plane charges at the passage he is in and smashes into it, flooding the hallway. Gah! No! What is this? Have to go! Have to go! An opposing hallway explodes from something, and Spiff jumps out of his chair a bit as a doorway buckles and starts leaking from the sudden pressure. Spiff immediately charges into the next room as the door closes and seals behind him. The first combat scene takes place. Spiff follows Atlas's instruction and zaps the splicer with the bolt, then beats him with the wrench. A scripted event, so the splicer goes down easily. Spiff moves through and up the elevator, trying very hard not to look at the deformed mess that the people in this game have become. Spiff approaches a splicer standing over a crib, and he becomes visibly sick at the sight of this wretched creature singing a dark lullaby. He zaps her, then whacks her, only now realizing the crib isn't carrying a child. It's carrying a rather large, fancy-looking revolver. He picks it up, and Atlas starts explaining what plasmids did to Rapture. Spiff dry heaves at the mention of babies strangled in cribs. I must burn this wretched shithole to the fucking ground. Spiff carries on with the game and encounters his first ghost. She's in a bathroom mirror, crying as she questions how badly deformed she's become. Spiff mostly ignores it, going back to the gameplay and encounters the first environment kill, as Atlas explains what to do about splicers and water pools. Spiff hits the water and finds his new favorite thing to do in BioShock. His pale demeanor dissipates for a brief moment, and a creepy smirk appears on his face as the splicers in the water are electrocuted to death. The next sequence plays out, and Spiff's first real encounter with a Big Daddy and little sister play out. He follows directions and watches the child repeatedly stab a corpse on the ground, singing to herself. Her voice is distorted, broken, echoing like a ghost through the theater. Spiff carries on down and waits at the window. A scene plays out as a splicer finds the child, and Spiff dry heaves again as the child is seen drinking something from the syringe she just used to stab a corpse. He becomes visibly enraged as the splicer hits the little sister, causing the Big Daddy to appear. The splicer is slaughtered with prejudice and slammed through the window. Oh, so that's what the drill arm thing is for? I'm going to have to fight that thing, aren't I? I am. God damn it. He goes through the next section, giggling as he electrocutes a few splicers in the water pool. He follows instructions and cheekily chuckles as a swarm of splicers drop into the electrocuted water and heads into the next area. CIA Jackal? KGB? What even is that? Damn it, why do I always have to do so much research when playing human games? Spiff can't do much as Andrew Ryan forces a swarm of splicers at him, and Atlas opens the door just in time. Chapter 2 begins. Well, that's frightening. This is going to be one of those games, isn't it? This is Spiffle's first encounter with Andrew Ryan, and Atlas explains as much as Spiff enters medical. Spiff heads straight to emergency access, following the game's direction and ignoring most of everything else, as it becomes clear the enemies of Rapture are very much unsettling to him. He doesn't even celebrate much as he completes the hacking minigame for the first time. After defeating the ambush, he heads in and finds the game's representation of the Thompson submachine gun, one of the most iconic weapons ever made. Oh my... What's this then? A machine gun? Oh, I have heard about these, seen them a few times in a few games, but this one looks very fancy. I like it. He flips the override switch and tests his new weapon on a few splicers as they charge through the now open door. Unfortunately, Spiffle lacks trigger discipline, and he blows all of his ammunition on these 3 splicers. What? No ammo? Damn it. I got too excited, I suppose. I love using that thing, though. So fun. Spiff makes his way through towards medical, scoring a few more kills and becoming more unsettled thanks to the strange dialogue heard by the denizens of Rapture. He's constantly trying not to look at any of the character models owing to bloodstains, pustules, and hideous deformities. Spiff finally finds his way to the surgery wing to find Steinman and encounters another ghost. The door opens, and Spiff sees the posters on the wall with surgical scissors, blood marked on the walls, and a surgeon's gurney saturated in blood. Spiff takes one look at this abomination and dry heaves excessively. Spiff finally regains control and looks at the writing on the floor. Do no harm. J. Steinman. Do no harm? You call this doing no harm? Spiff dry heaves a bit more, but he soldiers on with the obligations of his subscribers weighing upon his narrow shoulders and fights his way through medical, nearly dying to a hidden rocket turret in the corner of the lobby. Spiff fights his way, going through the motions of gameplay with little commentary as he finally finds his way into Eternal Flame Funeral Home. There he finds the incinerate plasmid. The splicers nearby ambush him following a broadcast from Andrew Ryan. Bah! There are quite a few of them, aren't they? Incinerate? Wait, did I just pick up a magic witch flamethrower thingy? Spiff yells and uses the new weapon on the oil slick nearby, conveniently setting the splicers on fire. Spiff acquires less of a disgusted, horrified, or terrified stance, and that familiar sadistic sparkle in his eyes appears, the same one he got during his teardown playthrough. Well, this certainly makes things a bit more interesting. Let's see. Where to now? Atlas explains what's going on with the splicers as Spiff makes his way through Rapture, setting every splicer he can find on the way on fire. Spiff's next target is Twilight Fields, another funeral parlor place where he uses the plasmid to burn away ice blocking a door. Aha! So this thing has more uses than just setting things on fire. I knew there was an actual game mechanic to this besides combat. Now what am I here for? He wanders around, getting blocked by doors, and finally finds his way in, immediately retching at the sight of a huge amount of blood on the floor surrounding a corpse on a surgeon's gurney. Spiff collects himself and loots the place before heading into the bowels of the area. He listens to the psychotic babbling of the splicer in the room ahead. Spiff receives a bit of a jump scare as the Dr. Splicer in the room does a Houdini act, vanishing into the darkness. Spiff approaches the area with excessive caution and slowly scouts around. He finds the security expert Plasmid, then moves back through. The thuggish splicer jumps out of the mortuary shelves and attacks, but is instantly stopped by an electroblot and wrenched to the face. Oh no, you don't, bitch! That's what you get for jump scaring me. Spiff walks away with a sense of satisfaction and proceeds to the next area, clearing more frozen debris in front of the dental office. He gets into an area that is most ominous, but he can't care much as he spots a very particular gun. Is that a shotgun? It is! Woo-hoo! Spiff throws caution to the wind and grabs the weapon, triggering a scripted ambush. Oh! I get test! Subjects 2. Come get some. Spiff expends just a bit too much ammunition as he gets a bit too trigger-happy, but he clears the ambush in short order and proceeds to the next point. He fights his way around and finally finds the telekinesis plasmid, He watches the little video associated with it that popped up, then had to make a choice. What? I only have 2 slots. I have to get rid of my electro bolt or my incinerate in order to proceed. 1-2 punch or screaming on fire. So many choice screaming on fire. Spiff replaces the electro bolt with telekinesis and proceeds. He gets surprised by a splicer, accidentally switching his plasmid slot while fumbling for his guns. His telekinesis spell catches a propane tank and, in a panic, throws it at the splicer. The propane tank explodes, decimating the splicer in one hit. Spiff looks at the result of his attack and smiles, that strangely familiar grin creeping across his face. Well then, witchy powers am useful, I suppose. I guess. When you can yet explosives at people's faces, heresy is acceptable? Gods, this feels wrong. Spiff shakes his head. He returns to the last place he spotted Steinman and clears the debris blocking his path. He retches and nearly falls off his chair in disgust at the sight of a grotesquely deformed corpse sitting in a wheelchair. No. God, that's horrible. What the balls happened to this place? Spiff moves through the corridor, hacking a bot that Steinman sends to attack. He eventually arrives at Steinman's operating theater for what is the first real boss battle. Spiff cringes in pain as Steinman plays out his delusional rant. Dr. Steinman, what can I do with this one, Aphrodite? She won't. Stay. Still. Well, you don't see that shit every day, Spiff says. Spiff watches the sequence play out, and as Steinman spots him and says ugly, Spiff uses his telekinesis and grabs a chair. Right. We'll do this preemptively. Steinman shatters the glass with his machine gun. Then, as it clears, Spiff yeets the chair at him. A 1 in a million lucky shot gets Steinman in the head with full force, resulting in Spiff one-shotting a boss for the first time ever in a game. Take that. Wait. What? He's dead? I got him with one shot? No, that's impossible. Is there something else here? Spiff is unable to comprehend he just won a boss fight with no effort and wanders around the room looking for surprises, finding none. Well, okay then. I guess I won? Well, I have the key. Let's go to the next bit then. Spiff follows the arrow leading him to the next spot. A Big Daddy explodes through a window and a cutscene plays out. A splicer approaches a little sister. Oi, you get away from that! The splicer is shot twice by a new character, Tenenbaum. The cutscene plays out and Spiff becomes increasingly agitated through the entire sequence. Finally, Spiff is able to control his character again and takes a closer look at the little sister as she desperately crawls away from him. What in the actual fuck? Glowing yellow eyes, fetid, jaundiced skin. That voice. Oh, I have 2 options. Here, rescue. What would happen if I did that? Would it be human again or something? Spiff goes for the rescue option and shivers a bit in a mix of anger and disgust as the sequence plays out. Once done, the little sister returns to something that resembles normal, gives a cute little courtesy, and scrambles into the hole in the wall nearby. Well, I guess I know what I'm doing for this playthrough. Spiff returns to medical and is prompted to take on a Big Daddy. This fight proved to be considerably more difficult than his fight with Steinman. Spiff approaches one and attacks, using an electrobolt to try stun one, then using his shotgun to score a few choice hits. The Big Daddy retaliates. Holy shit, this thing is really bloody hard to kill. Come on! A combo of stun and shotgun blast. Seems to do the job, but Spiff doesn't get out of it without taking damage. The Big Daddy goes down, and Spiff breaks into a bit of self-congratulatory squawking. His first real boss fight in the game, and he came out on top, though with depleted ammo and Eve. He stops mid-victory strut and sees the little sister walk up to the corpse and start weeping next to it. Spiff gets that all too familiar death glare as he listens to the child cry. He rescues her but maintains that death glare. Spiff remains dead silent for the remainder of the level, surviving through the ambush before entering emergency access and heading to Neptune's bounty. When the next level starts, Spiff pauses the game and takes a moment to breathe. It truly terrifies me sometimes to see the lengths humans will go to bring detail to a world. You put that in the game. the sight of, albeit a twisted horror version of a child, weeping over the body of her dead father. It truly scares me sometimes as to just how much work you are willing to put into something just to elicit a response from another person. That broke me a little bit. Soldier on, though. Soldier on. Let's do this next one and try not to do things. Spiff returns to his chair and the death glare slowly fades, replaced by an expression of horror as he unpauses the game, noting the mutilated corpse of a smuggler hanging from the room against a wall. Spiff ignores it, loots the area and encounters a spider splicer, the very same one from the start of the game. The first thing he encounters is a big daddy with a little sister in tow. He wastes no time and attacks. Find peace in the void. Spiffle's battle cry echoes through his office and he charges the big daddy with shotgun and machine gun, going with his expensive but useful strategy of shock, hit, shock, hit. The big daddy goes down with little effort. Spiff can't help but question his sanity as the little sister goes to cry a bit by the corpse before being rescued. The introduction to Peach Wilkins makes Spiff a bit annoyed. Son of a bitch. Point A to point B, now I gotta go to point C, D, E, and F just to get to B. I hate these padding sequences. But research camera? That sounds useful. Very useful. The spider splicer attacks, but this scripted fight takes Spiff by surprise. Unable to even put a dent in it, he barely manages to get it to go away. Eventually, Spiff encounters a gatherer's garden and buys both a plasmid slot and a new plasmid, Winter Blast. He gets lucky and gets attacked by a nitro splicer. He shocks it, freezes it, then goes in for the kill with a wrench. The nitro splicer, however, dropped a grenade at his own feet and he explodes, shattering. Whoa! That was fun. I think I found a new favorite. Hehehehe. Spiff's demeanor changes a bit and he gets deeper into the game at this point, certain, aspects notwithstanding. Spiff eventually finds the research camera and takes the picture of the spider splicer. He takes an action photo and scores an A on the card. The spider splicer now weak enough for him to fight it. He goes out into the hall and fights, winning against the three that attack. Can I take photos of everything? I hope so. That'll make it easy. Now, Peach Wilkins. What an odd name. Spiff goes to Wilkins' door and enters, depositing his guns in the pneumo. God, that's questionable, one might say. Fishy. Spiff aims at the camera, in his first ever pun, as he looks up at the Fontaine Fisheries sign. Francine, Spiffle's editor, puts in a drum sting. I kid, ha! I can do this comedy stuff too. Where was I? Oh yeah, I just lost all my guns, I'm entering a strange area, and I'm being warned about questionable behavior. Logic denotes a difficult boss fight. Spiff ignores the dialogue and enters the battle in earnest, making note of frozen explosive barrels and heavy ice everywhere. Spiff kills a few splicers and goes for Wilkins, hitting him with Electro Bolt and Winter Blast, and eventually whittling his health down. Spiff takes the chance to occasionally snap a photo of Wilkins. Unfortunately, Wilkins is a boss and doesn't really count towards the research system. Eventually, Spiff manages to kill him and proceed to the next location. Spiff makes no comment. On the next ghost encounter and flashbacks to his character's history, Spiff presses the lever on the control panel and a cutscene plays out. This seems a bit questionable. Why do I feel like this is a trap? Pieces of debris fall on the window, blocking the view of the submersible as Andrew Ryan speaks. Yup, it's a trap. Spiff rolls his eyes a bit and fights his way through the splicers to the next area. As he enters the dock, the sub explodes. Spiff's face changes to his signature death glare. It was a trap. Oh dear, that poor man. Spiff enters the next level, Arcadia, and is genuinely shocked when the entire place is basically an underwater forest. What in the balls? Is Arcadia a forest? Ooh, wait. Underwater city. Needs oxygen. Oxygen comes from trees, therefore forest. Why did it take more than 30 seconds to register that concept? I must be losing my mind. Spiff wanders through and encounters a splicer begging for help. Help? Help you? Why would I do that? This is another trap, isn't it? The splicer takes Spiff on a quick jaunt through back alleys. Spiff gets a lucky shot with his electrobolt at the splicer, only for it to disappear. I knew it's a trap! Things only disappear like that in games when it's a trap. You can't fool me! Come here and take your beating! Spiff chases after it with fire in his eyes. Spiff isn't fooled by the trickery and hits the splicer twice, before it manages to disappear on him again. The splicer finally engages and starts hurling fireballs at Spiff and manages to snap a picture of it with the camera. Houdini splicer? Houdini? What's a Houdini? Damn and blasted balls. Why do I always have to do so much research when I play human games? It never ends. Spiff pauses the game, scribbles something on a notepad, and then finishes the fight. He proceeds to the next area, and Andrew Ryan starts the next phase, the death of Arcadia, by flooding the air supply with defoliants to kill the trees. Spiff gets directed to Julie Langford, a botany scientist of some kind. Spiff goes through the padding, but stays in certain areas for a bit longer than usual, owing to just how damn pretty everything in Arcadia is compared to the rest of the game so far. Finally, he encounters Rosa Gallica, the rose. What in the hell? What is this plant? It's so pretty! Spiff stares at it for a moment and wanders around it for a few moments, trying to figure out what it is. Large, fist-sized roses in full bloom. Spiff scribbles another note on his notepad and wanders around it, trying to understand it. It's clearly a plant of some kind, and a flower. But I've never seen that petal structure, bloom, or coloration before. That is quite pretty. What was I doing? Oh, right, making sure I don't suffocate. Andrew Ryan once again shoves a wrench in the machinery and kills Julie, who uses her last breath to write a code in the window. Spiff gets through the door and enters the code, 9457, into the safe before returning to the table. Only to find a new toy for him to play with, the chemical thrower. What's that then? Chemical throw a fallen thrower. Mine. Mine. Mine, I say. Mine! Spiff laughs in a rather disturbing manner as he loots the rest of the office and listens to the journal entry made by Julie Langford. Rosa Gallica, distilled water, chlorophyll, and honeybee spit. Rosa Gallica, write that pretty flower. Distilled water, easy enough. Chlorophyll, which I believe is an ingredient in base chemistry, okay? And honeybee spit? I know what spit is, but the fuck is a honeybee? Well, something to add to the to research later list then. Spiffle scribbles something on his notepad, again, and resumes gameplay, choosing to go for the distilled water first. It turns out to be an easy goal as the stuff is almost everywhere, especially near the bar area in the market. He then proceeds to grab the chlorophyll, again acquired via random crafting ingredients, and finally encounters the apiary, containing honeybee nests. These are honeybees? It's just a swarm of particles. Is that real? Well, I suppose if it's like that, I guess it's a small creature or small thing. So, best these graphics can do is these floating swarm things. They hurt, but should be easy to get. Aha! Found it! Okay, I have all ingredients. To a crafting station. Spiff fights his way through more Houdini splicers and frees 2 more little sisters before heading out towards central misting control. He fights through the swarm of splicers sent by Ryan and finally beats the tar out of the last splicer in the area before heading towards the vector. He marvels as the switch is pulled, resulting in all of Arcadia's greenery returning to life. Leaves perked up, flowers bloomed, and Spiff genuinely enjoyed the sight. Spiff grabs some loot from the area and heads to Fort Frolic, the home of Rapture's greatest and most disturbing psychopath, Sander Cohen. Spiff walks in and goes through the scene, and the bathysphere room makes him visibly sick as his skin changes to a lighter shade. The bathysphere closes and Sander Cohen blocks all radio traffic coming from Ryan and Atlas. The mood immediately shifts to the scene of Sander's art rising from the ground, what looks to be flimsy-looking statues of people in various poses hanging from the ceiling, moving and swaying about. A large New Year's Eve rabbit mask slowly rises from the area as strange, discordant music plays. Spiff hears the sound of Sanders' voice for the first time and visibly shakes. Ugh. So very creepy. Spiff watches the disturbing display for a bit longer, then proceeds to the next area, following the arrow pointing him to where he needs to go. Spiff encounters a new kind of hazard, trap lines, and unfortunately doesn't notice them. He takes heavy damage and loses 2 first aid kits worth of life before he finally notices how to destroy the shock traps. Damn it, those are well hidden. Either that or I'm blind and stupid. Either way, at least I know how to beat them. Bolts. In one end, shoot the bolt, trap breaks. I need more first aid kits then. Right. Where do I go? Oh, the Fleet Hall? Odd name. God, why is this guy's voice so disturbing? Spiff wanders around as Sander brings his pitch to the story, his entire shtick giving Spiff the heebie-jeebies the whole time. Spiff wonders about the odd statues and notices red coloration coming from them. He dismisses it, thinking it's just an aesthetic choice. The stairs are lit up as Sander lights up the way to the next area, and soon Spiff finds himself in the theater. The noise of an argument of some kind is heard, mixed with the sound of a piano playing. A masked splicer by the name of Fitzpatrick is at a piano covered in dynamite, and is trying to play a tune while being yelled at by Cohen. Fitzpatrick yells back in defiance and the piano explodes. Great days and glorious victory. My name is Spifflemonk and welcome back to BioShock. I couldn't leave it where that was, so as soon as I was back in the office this morning, I decided I needed to finish what I started. Spiff looks at the camera, then reaches down into the drawer, putting on a pair of comedy eyebrows, the same he was wearing after an encounter with Eve's garden. And these shall stay on for the duration. You aren't escaping me that easily. On we go. Spiff continues where he left off, at the entrance to Hephaestus, one of the bigger areas in the game. He goes through the area and encounters Andrew Ryan's Rogues Gallery. What the actual fucking fuck? God, this Andrew Ryan is crazier than Cohen. At least Ryan doesn't try to call mass murder an art form. Ugh. He explores the area, noting each body. Corpses of people, named people, hanging from pillars impaled on huge spikes with blood streaked across the walls and floor. Eventually, he encounters the body of Anya Andersdotter and gets the next objective from the tape she was carrying. Sympathetic overload in harmonic core number 3. Wow, that's some tasty jargon right there. Is that the word for smart-sounding nonsense? Right, jargon? Anyway, the way is blocked by Ryan. Spiff just follows the objective arrow to the next location after beating the splicer ambush sent by Ryan. The next area is a N area with turning wheels and grinding gears, and as Spiff loots the place, the lights go out then reappear. Oh dear, I know this. It's another trap. You can't fool me, humans. I know your game by now. Spiff looks around, looting more bodies. The lights go out again, then return moments later. Spiff maintains caution, but his loot goblin instincts are too strong. The lights dim and return one more time. He approaches 3 corpses and is literally scared out of his seat as the bodies come to life and engage him. Bah, fuck! Spiff scrambles to pause the game and sits on the floor to catch his breath. So much for knowing. God, that one actually hurt a bit. Spiff gets back on his chair and takes a deep breath, then unpauses the game and fights back. He's lost a bit of health from the battle after he got the heck scared out of him, but he gets through it easy enough. Spiff wanders around making note of the incredible architecture and buildings around him as a few events play out in the background, including a ghost event at an electrical turbine. Spiff picks up a tape recording of one Pablo Navarro and gets his next objective, Kai Burz's tool shop. There, he fights off a few splicers, beating them a little too easily for his comfort, and finds the tool shop with the next clue. Device, huh? Someone's been up to some questionable things. Right. Far as logic can tell me, this Kybers guy has made a thingy that will do a thingy to the door, letting me pass to the next level. Right. Off we go. Spiff follows the arrow on his screen and finds a crawl space eventually, and encounters a device that looks suspiciously familiar. Is that a bomb? It looks suspiciously familiar when I look at some human history books and engineering manuals. Oh, a tape. Yup. It's a bomb. Right. Nitroglycerin, 4R34 wire stubs, then. Ionic gel. Okay, the explosive to set the bomb off. It's an electrical circuit, so presumable that's what the ionic gel substance is for. The wire stubs to basically act as a circuit. Okay then, let's go find that. It isn't nearly as easy as finding the ingredients for the Lazarus vector from Arcadia, as the R34 stubs come from Big Daddy's, and Spiff has to kill 3 to get the components he needs. After a hard fight and a trip to the office of the tool shop, Spiff finally returns to the bomb and assembles the parts. That was annoying. Are all collect and fetch quests this irritating? Anyway. Oh, it's an EMP. Bomb. That makes more sense. Right, take this to the core. Apparently. Is that like a power station? Of course it is, Spiff. That's what the electric bomb is for. I can be such a twit sometimes. Spiff heads to geothermal control, and he stops at the entryway to see 2 glass tubes full of a molten rock of sorts. Whoa! Hold it! Geothermal? Geotherma! What is that? Spiff pauses, tabs out, and does a quick search. The camera returns and his mouth is agape, his eyes void of life, and once again his death glare returns, made slightly less serious by the sight of the stupid plastic eyebrows he's wearing. Okay. Humans have figured out how to take direct control of using heat generated by thermal reactions in a planet's crust, and basically use that heat to generate electricity. It seems the tech is more advanced than it used to be compared to what I'm seeing here. Well, that's something to send to the council later. Spiff carries on and looks about the new area around the core. Spiff gets to the release valve and, as per Atlas's direction, prepares for an ambush. A few trap bolts and a few mines, he's ready and turns the valve. Splicers engage and he deals with 3 waves of enemies pretty fast. Yeah! I'm getting good at this. Can't ambush me anymore. Spiff finishes the release valve sequence and boils away all the water blocking his path to the next area. He kills a few splicers on the way and moves towards the core. Spiff mostly ignores the speeches from Atlas and Ryan, attempting to ignore the story. Something odd about all this silliness. But ho! Onward to glory! Spiff gets to the core, lowers the reactor, and places the bomb on it. The bomb goes off in spectacular fashion, and arcs of electricity shatter the reactor systems, breaking everything. Spiff is released from the room and heads up to Ryan's office, fighting his way through splicers. Oh God, is this for real? Am I actually done with this now? Is this the endgame? Spiff becomes very excited as he heads up to Ryan's office. When Spiff gets there, he senses an ambush coming and puts down more traps. He hits the circuit breaker and the quest completes. Spiff heads into Rapture Control, the next level. Oh, level transition. Oh, it is. I can finally be done with this abomination. God, this game is evil. I mean, it's awesome, but God, the shit that happens here. Spiff enters the next area and is too excited to pay attention to the story. Bits that are now happening as he charges through the area, looting away. Eventually, he gets through to Ryan's office. Spiff finds the office where Ryan has been brooding about various things, where Dr. Suchong has been conducting tests. Out of curiosity, Spiff listens to the tape named Mind Control Tests. His familiar, pale skin and horrified death glare suddenly appears as the tape shows how the mind control system works, as he hears a recording of a puppy being killed by a small boy. What? The actual fuck? Spiff removes the comedy eyebrows and returns them to his desk drawer. Right. Time to pass judgment on an entirely new level. Gods above, what madness is this place? What's this tape? Lot 111. Baby is a year old. 58 pounds? Fit 198-year-old? What? That's not how humans work. Spiff shakes his head and maintains his death glare and pale skin as he heads into Ryan's office. It is at this point Spiff starts paying especially close attention to the story part in front of him and reaches Ryan's office, face to face with the main villain of the story. The cutscene begins, and one of the most infamously brilliant sequences in gaming starts. Spiff sits in full silences as Ryan speaks one of the most infamous speeches in gaming history, explaining in no uncertain terms how the character Spiffle has been little more than a manufactured puppet for the true villain of the story. Spiff visibly cringes as Ryan is beaten to death by a golf club as he screams, "A slave obeys!" And finally, after an all-too uncomfortable amount of time, the cutscene stops. Spiff pauses the game and sits in his seat shuddering for a bit. Spiff returns the key to the self-destruct override, and Atlas makes his true identity known, Frank Fontaine. Spiff pauses again, his skin changing back to its normal color as he now gets a new emotion, rage. "I will rip your damn head off!" Spiffle screams in rage as a swarm of splicers attacks at Fontaine's orders. Spiff is overwhelmed, but a scripted event makes sure he isn't killed. A little sister appears, dragging him through a vent as he escapes. The Horde. This ends the level, and Spiff finds himself in the next area. The next sequence shows he is in Tenenbaum's safe house. More of the story is unraveled as Spiff confirms his thoughts that the guy he's been playing as is a manufactured entity, a clone. The safe house has dozens of little sisters about, rescued children from his escapades. The girls all speak good things about his character, and it seems to calm Spiff down a bit. Tenenbaum gives Spiff his next objective, Mercury Suites, in order to look for a Suchong. Suchong? What's that? Is that the next boss I have to fight? Well, I guess it's time to go then. Need to pay a visit to a garden and do a bit of gene work. Need to make sure I'm up to it. Looks like this game is far from over. Spiff follows the prompts and looks around at all the kids playing games. Why? Is there only girls here? Strange. Oh well. I guess that will be answered eventually. Spiff gets to the start of the level and is back in control, where Fontaine starts his thing. Spiff very quickly notices the effects of Code Yellow and panics as his max health goes down. Gah! No, damn it! I need that! I'm shit at this kind of thing. Screw the story, that's probably going to go down fast, so let's hurry it up. I can. Catch up later. Spiff hurries, effectively speed-running the objective as he charges through, ignoring everything so he can get cured of Fontaine's control. Spiff pretty quickly finds Suchong's apartment as he fights his way through the apartments. Eventually, he finds the tape made by Dr. Yi Suchong that points him to the cure. Seems this Suchong thing is a person who created my character here. Seems he saw through Fontaine's mask. Let's see now. Next stop, Apollo Square. Wherever that is. Sounds important. Right. Tenenbaum's also been up to some things too, apparently. She made the little sisters from what I can tell. Spiff wastes no time, and as he loses about 30% of his health, he quickly makes his way through Apollo Square. He does, however, get sidetracked by an apartment with the name S. Cohen on it. Spiff goes in. Oh no. Cohen? I remember. It's that weird serial killer artist person from the last one. Right. Deal with this nonsense, then go back to business. Spiff collects the electric buck, much-needed ammunition, and interrupts Cohen's dance. The two Houdini splicers fight back, and Spiff deals with them too easily. This causes Cohen to come out of hiding and attack Spiff. Spiff also beats Cohen, having a small but notable mini-boss battle, and picks up some juicy rewards as a result, including an upgrade for his crossbow. Spiff then proceeds to the next objective, a tape recorder, and gets the code to Fontaine's apartment, 5744, and enters after a big daddy fight. Spiff gets upstairs, listens to Fontaine's story, and picks up Lot 192, the antidote. Sadly, this isn't the end, and Spiff is directed once again to Artemis Suites to get another dosage of Lot 192. God, I really hate this padding out nonsense that some games do. But I guess that's all part of the game. Spiff sighs and re-enters Apollo Square. No longer losing health, but he quickly finds Dr. Suchong's apartment and retches uncomfortably at the sight of the good doctor's corpse drilled into his desk. Spiff jez and listens to Suchong's last recording, and a creepy smile appears on his face. Good. Censored. Got what he deserved. Spiff picks up and uses the last bit of antidote. Spiff gets a new objective. Point Prometheus. Spiff heads through to the next level and is annoyingly ambushed by splicers. Fontaine gets away, of course, and Tenenbaum gets a new idea. You fucking what? You want to turn me into one of those blasted things? God, no. Please tell me there's another way. There isn't, is there? Spiff sighs and annoying grumbles at the game, going through the processes. He still pays attention to the story, but is about done by now. First objective is pheromones. Spiff quickly finds the first vial and becomes visibly angry when he encounters the first ghost in the level, a little sister screaming how she doesn't want to go on the table. Spiff's eyes burn with a strange kind of rage and he charges through the next area. This place is evil. Spiff finds 2 more samples in short order, then gets the objective to find the voice box first. In the meantime, he kills a few big daddies in the area and collects their components. He quickly has enough to meet demand. When he gets to the voice box modification machine, Spiff visibly cringes in pain as the animation plays out. Gods, that's awful. Okay. So that bit is done. Next, the suit. Spiff quickly goes to failsafe armored escorts, where he is once again scared out of his seat by a corpse ambush. He doesn't scare as easily as he did last time, and manages to clear the road ahead in short order before returning to his seat. Proper. Don't you look at me like that. I bet you've had the same reaction to getting the crap scared out of you. Spiff glares at the camera for a bit, then resumes his play, and grumbles angrily when the gameplay padding makes him go to a library to find heavy boots. He puts the comedy eyebrows on again, and puts them into an angry expression as he resumes play. He finds them in short order, skipping most elements and just going for completion at this point. He first finds one of the suits and puts it on, then further in to quickly find the helmet. Once done, Spiff heads to the library to find the boots. He does this pretty fast, and finally as he picks up the boots, he gets his next objective. I got this feeling I'm nearing the endgame, but this bit's gonna be a bit odd. Why do I get this foreboding feeling when I play games, and only human games? Spiff hits the vent with his wrench, and a little sister, one of the cured ones, appears out of the vent. This leads him into a new level. The Proving Grounds. Fontaine lays out more of the sordid tale of Spiff's character as the game progresses, and the more Fontaine speaks, the angrier Spiff seems to get. Spiff starts his Proving Grounds run, an escort mission. Ah yes, I have heard things about these escort quests in previous games. It seems they have a rather frustrating history in the gaming community. Let's see how bad it is. Thankfully, BioShock's escort isn't nearly as bad as most others of its kind, and Spiff heads into the first area to catch a fight with a few splicers and a big daddy. The fight is cut short as the bones of a whale on display fall from the ceiling and crush the big daddy under it. Well shit, the bones of that creature. That thing must have been massive. Need to do more investigative work, I guess. Spiff scribbles in his notepad once more and spends the next 15 minutes rolling his eyes to Fontaine's whining and a mobile wave defense as the little sister does her job. Spiff gets visibly angered at the sight of the child doing her deed as she repeatedly stabs a corpse with her huge syringe needle. Tenenbaum offers her opinion on the mental conditioning, and thus the first attack starts. It is, however, small and easily beaten. The next 2 waves go by without any real incident either, with Spiff getting visibly angry each time the child is even vaguely attacked. Finally, Spiff gets to the end, Fontaine going crazy on the radio. Spiff enters an area and stops. Ammunition vendors, gun vendors, inventors, health station all in one place. I'm not stupid. I know there's an especially bad boss up ahead. Right. Spend, fill up. Let's go. Wait. Fontaine is here? Is this the last boss fight? Spiff spends every dollar he has to max out his ammo, health, Eve, and reorganizes his plasmids, getting himself all set up. He is hyped up as he enters the elevator. Spiff finds the last boss, Frank Fontaine, in the middle of some room. He is a hideously deformed, muscle-bound monstrosity with glowing eyes and fetid skin, strapped into some kind of device that is pumping gallon of atom into his veins directly. Spiff follows the prompts and hits Fontaine with the needle, draining the first of his health bar. Spiff uses every weapon in his arsenal to attack, finding a combination of machine gun and winter blast to be the most effective, freezing Fontaine, then emptying a magazine into his face. Fontaine's health quickly melts and he is forced back into his machine for his second round. Die, damn you! Die, I said! Round 2 starts, Thias time with Fontaine getting ice powers, and Spiff, smartly, uses flame-based weapons on him. Again, Fontaine's health melts pretty fast. The last battle is a lot harder, as this time he's got fire-based abilities. Spiff, however, is well prepared and uses his chemical thrower's electric ammo to disappear Fontaine's last health bar. The battle is a bit longer, owing to the fact Fontaine called other splicers for reinforcements. But Spiff wins the fight. The final sequence plays out and a cutscene starts. Did I win? Is it over? The cutscene shows Fontaine being swarmed by cured little sisters as they drain every drop of atom from Fontaine's body. The battle is over. Spiff can't help but jump for joy as he watches the last cutscene play out. Teeds the happy ending of the game. Finally! Ha! Yes! Oh gods, that felt good. Thanks for watching. If you will excuse me, the things in that game were horrible. I must now bleach my brain. Top comment. Well done, Spiff. Now you need to play Infinbyte and 2 Spiffle's response. Wait. What? Infinite and 2? What is the oh no? Reply, yep. BioShock 2 and BioShock Infinite. The sequels. You must. We demand. Ite. Brandishes cheese. Spiffle's response. Oh no. Thanks for diving into this story with me. Don't miss out on the next one. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think.